Hi, I'm Amy, and in this video, we're diving into two well-known SEO platforms, Moz Pro and Conductor. If you're trying to decide between them or wondering which one fits into your team's workflow and your SEO goals, you're in the right place. I've been in the SEO space for over a decade and have seen how these tools play out in the real world, content strategies, not just on pricing pages. So I'm going to walk you through what they're best at, who they're best for, and how to think about choosing one. Today, we're going to look at each of these tools through 7 key lenses, 7 key things that I think cover a lot of what SEO and content strategies and content teams and businesses want to know. Starting with keyword research, we're going to look at competitive gap analysis and how each tool does that. Reporting integrations, which is really important. Of course, we're going to talk about pricing, customer service, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about use cases and best fit and who I think each tool is good for. Hopefully, with all of this information and some of the demos that we're going to go through today, you're going to be able to make the best decision between Moz Pro and Conductor. Okay, the first thing I want to look at for both of these tools is the keyword research aspects of it. In Moz Pro, it's called Keyword Explorer. Moz, I do the same. Again, I'm using my favorite East Coast Mermaid site and checking in on a key term here, best places to visit New Brunswick. So Moz Pro Keyword Explorer is known for its simplicity and its value. There's a reason why it's one of the go-to SEO tools in our industry and is still used with a lot of teams. As you can see, we have organic click-through rate here. We have a nice difficulty score of moderate. So if you have a lower domain authority, you might not want to go after this keyword. But if it's something that's really important to your site, maybe you will. The priority score really helps you choose keywords that are worth targeting. As a content nerd, I would say you need to think about content clusters. Sometimes you decide to create a piece of content because you need to speak about it and you need to do that. But if you're going into building out more and more content, that becomes really relevant, and it's very easy to see in Moz Pro some of the things that you will need to do. Again, I really love how the SERP analysis feature at a glance here, how you can see the people also ask section. This is really great to create your briefs or just to think through when it comes to what searchers are thinking about, what maybe some headings that you want to include in your content. So what is the prettiest place in New Brunswick? What's the nicest part of New Brunswick? Is New Brunswick worth seeing? I think these are things that you should cover when you're talking about the best places to visit in New Brunswick. Of course, we can see a lot more and we can view a lot more topics that I think we would want to cover. Moz Pro has so much here, but the more you dig in, the more simple that you see that it really is. You can also go to a keyword gap here analysis, and you can enter your URL. You can have a look up to 3 competitor URLs. I love doing content gaps. I think that's really great. I think especially when you've already built out a cluster and you want to find some piece of content that's different or unique, I think those tools are really helpful. And I think it's a great way to continue to build your content strategy and your SEO strategy. Let's have a look at Conductor here. Okay, best places to visit New Brunswick. Conductor pulls in keyword data from external sources like SEMrush. It's better for tracking performance of existing keywords and not necessarily really great for discovering new ones. As you can see just at a quick glance here that the level of information and the level of data that we're getting between the two is not the same, not even close. There's so much more in Moz Pro, and there's so much more to look into, to dig into, and things that can become really actionable, like understanding the SERP features. As somebody who is in the SERPs every single day of my life. I know the SERP features change every day, and to have this kind of view right away for when you're creating a piece of content or you're thinking about and you're planning your content, I think it really does help. I think I would say Conductor really falls short in some of the things that it does here. And I don't know if Conductor is known for this, but I can see if I tested a few more keywords, and we can do that, maybe I would see some sentiment, which is really, really important right now. I think as SEO and search evolves, I think the way that we create content and the things that we need to understand, like sentiment, is really, really important. Also, I'm really interested to see if this regional search interest would come up, because this, obviously, the site that we're looking at today is regional. It can be for anyone that's coming to New Brunswick, but there's definitely an aspect there. And I think for small businesses, local businesses, that's going to be really important. So let me see what else Conductor can do here. So it's giving me some related keywords. Let's see the long tail keywords. Best places to visit in New Brunswick. Yeah, search volume 50. Competition high. So this is a better view for sure. Again, I caution you, if you're using a lot of SEO tools, all of these metrics mean something slightly different. And you always have to track when you're actually implementing, you're actually creating, and you're actually looking at your Google search data in your Google Search Console actual volume. It has search intent here too, which I think is interesting, but the competition it says high. I would also like to kind of see videos placing here. That's interesting. I like those kind of data points as well, because like I said, the SERPs are changing so much, and from day to day, when I'm searching the SERPs, I can see sometimes video gets, highlighted, usually best of terms, and things are shifting. Sometimes it's a forum that gets moved up. So using these SEO tools like Conductor or Moz Pro, I think you kind of have to understand how they define competition. Just my 2 cents there. But I think for keyword research, if you're still doing hands-on keyword research and content planning, I would definitely say Moz Pro wins on this one. Okay, we're going to quickly go through the competitive gap analysis, or researching your competitors. I think this is a huge part of SEO, of content strategy, and I think it's really important. So we're going to look at Conductor first. And the first thing that I noticed and I thought was really interesting is that if you compare it to Moz right now is giving me my top 25 competitors. And it's really obvious, and it makes perfect sense. So I'm going to look at Beach Lust, and I'm going to do a comparison here. I'm going to compare that one too. And it actually gives me a lot of information of where where my overlaps are. The visuals are really great. The keywords that I have, that Beach Lust has, that Beach Combing magazine has. So this is something that's meaty that an SEO can use, and it's something that I can say, okay, where do we need to create content, or what do we need to do to be competitive against our competitors? Right away, it was really easy to find, really easy to do. I can select all the competitors and I get a nice visual. So Moz Pro, I'd say, is really great. Now with Conductor, I have to figure out my competitors first. I've been in here for a bit. I don't see anything that's telling me who my competitors are, but there is a way to compare a second domain. So I have to go into another tool or something that I know. So like copy link address here and figure out the competitor on my own. Now, if I'm wrong, if you are from Conductor and there is somewhere that will tell me my competitors, please let me know. But for now, let's just look to see the data that we get. Okay, so here we have the two domains. This is our competitor and this is us. the site that I'm using today. As you can see, I like the month-to-month view. I do appreciate that. Number of owned AI overview result types. Now this is really interesting because I feel like this is still something that a lot of AI tools out there are trying to catch up with. And according to Conductor, East Coast Mermaid is killing it with AI overview, whereas Beach Lust isn't. Now, I think I would spend a little bit of time digging into that if that is something, that's a feature that you really care about. And I would actually, put on my VPN, go into incognito mode and look up some key pages, key terms for your site and see if that site's not getting any AI overviews, but your terms are. But it's interesting. I think that's an interesting metric that Conductor has there. And I think I'm curious to see where they pull that away. This is getting into the more meatier sections. As you can see, it does take time to pull all the data, but I would say there are a few things that I think Conductor does well here, especially if I know my competitors. See the pages. I do like this. On first page, top performing, trending. I do like these metrics, but I would say for a real competitive gap analysis, especially, I think it would depend. I think Moz is really great for directional insights, and you can see a lot of details and it can help inform your strategy once you figured out your competitors. But I think Conductor could be really good for teams analyzing dozens of competitors. And of course, that AI overviews metric is kind of interesting. Those are my thoughts on the competitor gap analysis of both. Okay, let's talk a little bit about reporting in Moz Pro and Conductor and kind of what I think. This could be a really big deep dive because in Moz Pro, there are so many ways that you can export your reports. The basic domain overview, you can export a PDF. And depending on on what you actually want to share with a client or with another team member or whatever, this can be quite a lot. It's still exporting. Let me see here. This is great. And I know that I've had a lot of SEOs in my history. These reports are really important, and it gives, a visual of everything. And especially if you can speak to what all of this data means, obviously, I think that's really great. That's such a simple way to do it. There's also, if we are talking about competitors, again, I'm going to go to my site, the site that I'm using today, and we're going to pick a couple of competitors again, and we're going to compare. And if we want to create a custom ranking distribution report, how easy would that be? Okay, we can export the CSV, export a PNG, which is great, which is something that I love that because you can easily put that into a report and then give some context around it, offer up some strategy. Again, we can export this as a CSV or download as Excel. I think Moz Pro, obviously been around for such a long time, knows how people are using their tools, knows everything that you may want to do. So creating custom reports, hands down, so easy. This is really great for SEO teams, content marketers who want simple visibility, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. We go here into reporting for Conductor. As you can see, we've got some visuals here. We already had a look at this screen before, but again, it shows the number of AI overviews. You can save this as an image and put it into your reports. You can download Excel SX version. You can save this as an image. I think there's a lot less here. But again, if we dig into the tool a bit more and see what kind of reports that we can have, I like this being able to customize this for what you need to. I feel like Conductor is missing things. I feel like in its simplicity, I feel like there are some things that are missing. And in reporting, although accessing the reports, customizing the reports is fairly intuitive, I think something is missing. Of course, Conductor is known for being able to combine multiple data sources. So if that's really important to you and that's part of what you're doing, I think that's a good use case for Conductor. Again, we can connect Google Analytics here, Google Search Console here. So that's really, I think, the main part of this tool. We can add another web property here. And I think for reporting on that part, I think that's what this tool does well. It puts everything into, one kind of view. I don't think a tool as a standalone itself is as powerful or as good as Moz Pro. That's my 2 cents. Okay, let's talk a little bit about integrations, because I think that's where these tools really differ. And I think this is where you get to see why Conductor really stands out when it comes to integrations. Moz Pro doesn't really advertise many native integrations. There is an API tool available if you want to pull Moz data into your own systems, which I find is really fascinating. I mean, obviously, they've spent years gathering this data. They have a lot of data that you can access. But beyond that, I think it plays nice with Google tools like Analytics and Search Console, but it's not really known for its integrations. If you have a look at Conductor, that's pretty much what it does. Conductor shines here, especially for teams working in complex environments. So it's got some built-in integrations with popular CMSs, project management tools like Jira, analytics platforms, and even technical SEO tools like Deep Crawl. You can see right here. This is one of the features that I think Conductor feels less like a standalone tool and more like part of a larger enterprise SEO ecosystem. And if you're looking for integrations and you're looking for that, I think Conductor is the choice when it comes to that. Okay, now that we've gone through some of the main parts of each of these tools, Moz Pro and Conductor, I want to talk a little bit about use cases and who I think these tools are best for. They are two very different tools, even though they fall both into the realm of SEO and optimizing your website. I think they're designed for different things and designed for different people. If you're a beginner SEO, if you're a content creator, especially if you're an SEO generalist, a small agency, a freelancer, even a larger business that just wants to take advantage of a simple user interface, data that's been around for a long time, I have to say choose Moz Pro for an SEO tool, for a content optimization tool, for the free tools are great too, but I feel like Moz Pro really is an all-around decent tool for these groups. It's easy for anyone to learn, integrate into your content workflows. It doesn't have a ton of integrations like Conductor, but that's not what it's designed to be. And it's been around forever, and there's a reason why it's still a go-to tool. So that's who I recommend Moz Pro for. I think Conductor for me is more for, I want to kind of say maybe enterprise content teams, but it's really for a larger, maybe a mid to large organization who wants to invest in this tool, which is quite dear. And it's for people that need to manage like multiple brands, multiple subdomains, need that kind of reporting, want to pull all the data in, and you don't really want to invest in creating your own data or dashboard or connecting all the APIs. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You need all the data in one place. I think that is what Conductor is really great for. So even though Conductor is often described as an enterprise tool, it really is robust for content teams too. Like, it can help surface intent signals. There are some content recommendations there, and it can help you prioritize what to update if you need to pull in a lot of sources. But like I said, Moz Pro is my choice for most content teams, for the SEOs out there, the small agencies, the freelancers. A quick reminder, as I always say, I talk about SEO tools a lot, and it's been fun to dig into these two, but no tool is a magic wand. These tools can help us prioritize, see data, pull reports, track, guide, but they don't really replace real strategy. So I advise, no matter what tool that you're choosing, is to use them to make smarter decisions, but don't just stare at the dashboards. I've hired a lot of SEO professionals in my 10 plus years in this industry that give me a report, and it's a whole bunch of pulling of dashboards, pulling of numbers, pulling of data, and no real insights or what do you do with the data. And again, pulling data is great, and there's a reason why there's so many different reports that we need. There's a reason why we have these tools, but I want to see the thought process and actions behind it. So Moz Pro or Conductor, it really depends how your team works and what level of depth you need. Moz Pro has a lot of data there. It's one of the best all-around SEO tools for small to mid-sized teams, especially if you focus on content. There's just so much that you can do there, and I didn't even really get to scratch the surface. Again, the reporting is really great. The information is really great. There's so much that you can do here. Conductor is really, if you're running a big content or SEO operation, you want to monitor everything from keyword trends to business outcomes and pull all that data together. Again, to sign up, you do have to go through a sales call, and I would dig around and look at some of the Reddit comments and look at some of the research yourself to see if this is the tool that you really want before you even invest in that free trial and start to pull things together. That's one of my cautions. So if you've used either of these tools and you're comparing them right now, or you have any questions, drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want a follow-up deep dive from me on how to use any of these platforms, or if you want me to dive into any more SEO tools, I know there's a lot of SEO tools out there. Drop them in the comments, and maybe I will create the next video. Thank you.